For centuries, there's been this one question that just keeps coming up. How does our deepest faith, our deepest conviction, relate to the world around us, to civilization? How are we supposed to live out what we believe in a world full of politics and science and all these social demands? It's a really messy problem, but luckily, we have a guide. So let's dive into this incredible work by H. Richard Niebuhr. His framework is so timeless because it really speaks to any system of belief that has to figure out how to exist in the world.
And this, right here, is the question at the very heart of it all. It's not just for philosophers or theologians, it's for every single one of us. How do you balance your ultimate loyalty to God, to a higher truth, whatever that is for you, with the very real, very pressing demands of the society you live in? Niebuhr's whole project isn't about just handing you a simple answer. It's about helping us get our heads around the question itself. And to do that, first, we've got to get our terms straight.
Okay, so for Niebuhr, when he says Christ, he's not just talking about a historical figure. He's using it as a symbol for the absolute, the ultimate claim that God has on a person's life. It stands for a loyalty that's so radical, it goes beyond any single culture or time period. It's this call to a relationship with the source of everything, and that relationship just changes your perspective on everything else.
And then, on the other side, you've got culture. And this is, well, it's everything we humans have built. It's our languages, our laws, our art, our science, our technology. It's the whole shebang. It's the world we're born into, the world that shapes us, and the world that we in turn help shape. So the problem becomes crystal clear. How does this radical loyalty to Christ deal with this huge, complex world of culture? Niebuhr lays out 5 main answers people have come up with for this problem. We're going to start with the 2 most extreme positions, the 2 opposite ends of the spectrum. Basically, do you build a wall to separate them, or do you build a bridge to connect them?
So on one end, you have Christ against culture. This view sees a massive, unbridgeable gap between the two. The demands of faith are so total that culture just looks corrupt and broken. And if that's what you believe, the only faithful thing to do is to pull back, to build a wall and create your own separate, pure community. And then on the complete opposite end, you have the Christ of culture. This view sees nothing but harmony. Here, Christ is seen as the ultimate hero of human culture, the one who perfectly represents society's best ideals and moral goals.
This famous quote from the early church father Tertullian just nails the Christ against culture idea. For him, Athens represented the best of pagan philosophy, art, and human reason. And Jerusalem, that was the city of God, the place of divine truth. In his mind, they had absolutely nothing to do with each other. No common ground. You just had to pick a side.
And to get a picture of the other extreme, you can look at someone like Thomas Jefferson. As a man of the Enlightenment, he didn't see Jesus as some mystical being demanding we leave the world behind. No, he saw Jesus as the greatest moral teacher who perfectly embodied the highest ideals of a rational, enlightened culture. For him, Jesus was the Christ of that culture. But, as you can probably guess, most people throughout history have lived somewhere in the messy middle between these 2 poles.
So let's move into that middle ground. We'll start with the first of 3 more nuanced models. This one doesn't try to choose between Christ and culture. Instead, it tries to build one big, unified system that includes both, but with Christ sitting firmly at the top.
This is the Christ above culture approach, and the classic example is Thomas Aquinas. The best way to think about it is like a stairway. Culture, with all its philosophy, its laws, its reason, that's the foundation. It's the first floor. It's good, it's necessary, and it gets you part of the way there. But it can't get you all the way. Christ and the truths of faith, that's grace. And grace doesn't destroy the foundation, it builds on it, it completes it, it perfects it, and it takes you to a higher floor that culture could never reach on its own.
All right, now we come to a profoundly different way of seeing things. This view just rejects any neat and tidy system or easy answer. Instead, it says the life of faith is one of permanent tension. You're always living in a paradox.
This is Christ and culture and paradox, a view that's most famously linked with Martin Luther. The idea here is that a believer is a citizen of 2 kingdoms at the exact same time. You have the kingdom of the world, which is necessary. It uses laws and sometimes even force just to keep order in a fallen world. But then you have the kingdom of God, which runs on a totally different operating system. Grace, love, redemption. You have to live in both, but you can never, ever get them confused.
So the key here is this deep, deep tension. You have to participate in the world. You obey the laws. You work within the systems. You do your duty, because this worldly order is what holds back total chaos. But you do it with zero illusions. You know that these same systems are deeply flawed. They're twisted by sin, and in the end, they're not compatible with the pure grace of the gospel. It's like being both a loyal citizen and a foreigner at the same time.
And that brings us to the last major model, Niebuhr's fifth and final type, which gives us another really powerful vision. In this view, Christ's job isn't to reject culture or finish it or just endure it. No, it's to actively get in there and convert and transform it from the inside out.
So the Christ the Transformer view is really a story in three parts. And it starts with a really positive view of creation. Everything, including our ability to build culture, to make art and science and societies, is fundamentally good. It's a gift from God. This isn't some evil world we need to escape from. It's a good creation that we should cherish.
But then comes part two, the fall. Now, the key distinction here is that culture itself isn't the problem. The problem is what we've done with it. As thinkers like Augustine would say, humanity, by turning away from God, has taken all these good gifts of creation and just twisted them. We've aimed culture toward our own selfish goals, making it about our own pride instead of about God.
And that leads us to the final act of this story. Christ enters this messed up culture, not to tear it down, but to redeem it. His work is to turn culture back around to its true God-glorifying purpose. The goal isn't to build a separate Christian culture or to just grit your teeth and endure a sinful one. The goal is to work for the conversion of all of human life, redirecting it all back to the one who made it in the first place.
So there you have it, 5 really distinct answers. But here's the thing. Niebuhr's goal was never to tell us which one is the right one. In his conclusion, which he gives this great nerdy title, he finally reveals the true purpose of this whole framework.
Those are Niebuhr's own words. What he's saying is that these 5 types aren't a menu at a restaurant where you just pick your favorite dish. They're a tool. They're a map that helps you understand the landscape. But in the end, the map doesn't take the journey for you. The problem gets solved day by day in the real-world choices that we all have to make.
The biggest takeaway from all of this is that the framework is meant to push us out of just thinking about theory and into taking responsible action. There is no one-size-fits-all answer that works for everyone, everywhere, for all time. There is only your responsible, faithful, and often really difficult decision that you have to make in your specific time and your specific place. These 5 types are just the conversation partners you bring along with you when you make that choice.
And so that really leaves us with a final question for you to think about. As you look around at our world today, at our politics, our media, our neighborhoods, which of these 5 postures do you see the most? Do you see people building walls? Do you see them trying to build bridges? Do you see that constant tension of living in paradox, or people fighting for transformation? Niebuhr's framework, it turns out, isn't just about history. It's a really powerful lens for understanding our world and our own place in it, right here and right now.